And you know what? You were talking about transfer portals there, Ian. And let me say, one of the things that you and I talked about earlier was Alabama needs a quarterback.
Yeah.
But your offensive coordinator's over saying he's got two of the best in the country on the team right there, man. So let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, he said it. And the funny thing is, man, I watched I think the On Three podcast. Who was that? JD Pickle, and he went on, and he basically said, reading between the lines that Ryan Grubb is being ridiculous. Either, he's just talking coach speak, or he's being disingenuous. But this is the way I look at it, man. You know, I was disappointed in Pickle because he was pandering, in my opinion, man. He was like, oh, well, you had Ty Simpson and he was the great. No, he wasn't, man. Like, nobody, all that Heisman talk, and it was ridiculous to anyone that watched Ty. We were just comparing him to Milroe. Okay, so he was much better. But I said it and I'll say it again. Grubb meant to Ty what Lane Kiffin meant to Blake Sims. Okay, Ty is not an NFL quarterback. Okay, he doesn't get enough of the blame, and I'm defending him because he was only in that system for 1 year. Okay, but the quarterback is everything, man. Their reads, their protection calls. Does the defense respect your downfield passing? Ty affected that offensive line. He affected that running back, and he was very ineffective with his safety blanket. Cuevas got hurt, towards the end of the year. So, at the end of the day, I think what Grubb is doing, man, he's excited about the potential of having two quarterbacks. One was a 5-star by all these recruiting ranking services. I don't know what the other guy was, but he got these guys. I think the guy that came from Washington, it's his third year in the system. And, the guy, the former 5-star, he's coming in his second year in the system. And I think he's excited about that because, that's what happened with Penix. He's done it before. And so, I think that, people like Pickle, I know you got to put content out there, man, but you guys know Ty Simpson wasn't that good, So, the fact that he could not beat out Milroe, it sounds good, I wasn't going to take $5 million. I want to play at Alabama. Alabama didn't want him back. And who was really going to pay him $5 million? He's worse than freaking Carson Beck. So who was really going to pay him $5 million to come quarterback them for 1 year? I don't know if I believe the legitimacy of those stories, man. So anyway, it'll just be excited to see, some competent quarterbacks in there. And I think, that's why the QB is the man on the team. He affects a lot of people, including offensive line and running backs, And so I just think that, Ty, got a lot of credit, and he did good first year in season, man. But I never saw Heisman. I never saw all SEC. I never saw first, second, third round, fourth round. So I don't know what everybody else is looking at, but I'm excited about what they have coming up next year too.
Well, what about their offensive line from this last season to this offensive line coming up? Differences, because I think your offensive line was definitely a question mark.
Absolutely.
And then when your tight end got hurt, it got bad. And also our guy Jamal's over here is talking about the second half of the schedule in 26 is going to be brutal for a first-year quarterback. And he also says y'all need a run game. So, So tell me, what about because I think Simpson not having an offensive line, I think that really hurt him in performance. But this upcoming year, y'all got to have an offensive line.
Yeah.
You do have more mobile quarterbacks. Both of these guys are way more mobile.
They fired the O-line coach, and all those guys, a lot of guys that they were bringing in the portal that had Alabama ranked in the 70s, 60s, and 70s were offensive lineman guys, so it's a complete overhaul. Now, will they have time to gel? I don't know, but all I'm saying is, having, both of us been around the game, played the game, whatever, that quarterback matters, man. Like, how many times am I screaming is 1 second, left on the clock, and he's taking 2-3 timeouts in the first half, in the first quarter. His everything was off about him. And so I'm not blaming him for everything, but he is the glue to that team. And you know, he affected them in a lot of ways that nobody is talking about. When you have a quarterback back there that, you know, is uncertain, a half a step late, going up there, changing the plays, you know, you like, you know, he's the leader of the team. And so, you know, let's not act like he didn't factor in. So, you know, I think that having multiple people, multiple years in the system, new offensive line coach, you know, where it will lead them, I don't know, man. I don't have a feel for Alabama at all, but I do expect to see an improvement in that area next year.
Okay. Well, question. See, I know you don't, and dude, I'm like you. You're brave. Talk about your Crimson Tide. I don't even know where to begin to start with my Razorbacks, dude. We got 41 dude or 42 transfers in. Hell, dude, I'm still trying to figure out their names. I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Right.
We did get a wide receiver from LSU that is on the track team also, and he broke his personal best. I don't remember what it was in the 200 meter or something. It was insane, but we got speed. You can't teach speed. So we got some speed at the receiver. But so question, Austin Mack, Keelan Russell, which one do you think is going to be there, or which one do you want to see there quarterbacking?
Me personally, I think that they're leaning towards Austin Mack, you know, and you know, this is the thing. Okay. If you start Austin Mack, you're going to lose Keelan for sure, you know, for sure. So you better get it right. But, you know, the little bits and pieces I saw of this guy, I mean, he looked like a baller. You know, he's like, what, 6'5", you know, good pocket control, nice, you know. Now, Keelan, according to the recruiting services, is the more talented. You know, so if it's neck and neck, you know, you got a better chance of holding on to Austin. You know, he's going to go too. But, you know, he at least showed his loyalty by coming from Washington to Alabama, you know, with the board. They're leading for this 5-star out there for 27, you know. So I don't know, man. I just think that something, you know, like separate, you know, even with Ryan Grubb today saying we have two of the greatest two. Okay. So, you know, there's no separation, you know. They're not, you know, showing their hand or leading towards one or the other, which, you know, this thing is going to play out. And if it's playing out, then I'm going to lean toward the guy that has more of the experience in the system than the guy, you know, that was highly rated. But hey, man, you know, Matt came down here for a reason.
Right. Was, you know, and so Grubb did say publicly, his exact words were the 2026 Alabama's 2026 roster includes two of the best quarterbacks in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Now, question from you as a lifelong Alabama fan, and this is so crazy for me to even say this, but Kalen DeBoer, y'all go back in the playoffs, y'all get blown out like you did like that time with Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
Does DeBoer make it at the end of the season? Or is Alabama standards so high that they expect to you know, Alabama's kind of like LSU. You got to keep them happy all the time.
Yeah. I mean, he can, man. It's just there's certain games that he better win. You know, just like last year, he better have won against Oklahoma, or he probably would have already been out of there. You know, next year, you know, just like Jamal put in the chat, you know, tough schedule, brutal. You know, we got UGA, man. And, you know, I don't know what Tennessee got. A&M is going to be good. LSU is going to be hype. Vandy, you know, hey, are they legitimate or a flash in the pan? You know, so, and then Auburn's always tough. And so, you know, I don't know, man. I think that, you know, a few games that he better win, you know, really UGA gave him equity, you know, honestly, because he might not have survived this long unless, you know, he beat UGA, you know, and so, you know, but you know, that Auburn, you know, you better win that, you know. I think UGA would be a acceptable loss. Better beat Vandy, A&M, who knows, man. So he just, you know, the thing about him, and this is the thing about Saban, right? And I've said this before, Saban was like the Godfather. He exuded confidence. When that man walked into your living room and talked to your wife and your child about what he offered, you wanted them to go for him to him for life, you know, not just, position football player, but you felt like you were giving your child. That's what Saban gave out. DeBoer doesn't give that out at all. He seems nervous, unconfident, man. And so with that being said, fans are impatient with him because the results aren't there and the confidence isn't there. So what do we have to put faith in the future? And so I think that's what it is. He needs to get out of that black hoodie. Man, Walt, man, Nate Oates got a lot more confidence than this guy, even though Nate Oates might be taking Alabama down like the Titanics, so, get you a little swag, and make us believe, man. Outside of that, any of those losses could take them out.
Right. We just had Jamal from Athletes Forum podcast. He goes, another loss to FSU. Does he survive the season? So I guess FSU is coming to Bryant-Denny Stadium 2026. Is that correct?
Yeah, they come there. He better not lose that game. And I don't expect them to, man. We